Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Franky Garcia. With me today, Kenny Spence. Kenny, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm a little mad I got to get back to my regular life. I've been on vacation for about a week, but you know what? Other than that, I'm good. How you doing?
I was doing well until Keegan fucking Murray decided to put up 41 goddamn points. We were talking about this on Playback, by the way. Check out Playback with us. We're doing most of the Summer League games this year on Playback. But, man, Keegan Murray, it was the go home Roger meme all game. Like, what is this guy doing? He does not belong. 41 points. He does not belong in Summer League.
He has no – and I get he just wants to get a little quick run in, but he started all their series went 7 games, right?
Yeah, he's 78 starts on a 3 seed. He 7 games against the Warriors.
I just don't know why he's like, I don't get it. I mean, I guess I respect it. He wants to get a nice little run in during the summer. Pro-Am leagues haven't really started just yet, but come on, man.
Man, he does not belong there. But we're here to talk about the Heat. Disappointing loss. I think an overall disappointing performance, some would say. I'm pretty proud of Nikola Jovic, though. Another game with a great, tough performance. 22 points, 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Just continues to push the ball in transition, be aggressive, getting fouled. What'd you think about him?
I had no idea he had 22 points. I'm the guy who rarely checks box scores, but what I did like was his aggressiveness, and you can tell like he's loving the new strength he has. He's going into contact, and I'm not gonna say no names, but the way we've been asking some Heat players to do for years now, and he's picked up on that quick. He's getting to the line. It's just been his improvement from year 1 to year 2 has been pretty obvious, and I'm hoping Portland doesn't want him that bad at this point because I don't know if I'm ready to detach.
Yeah, man, he was a lot of fun tonight, and you talked about this a lot last year, but his shot being inconsistent, the form, the release, everything was kind of different. I feel like since the Summer League started, through 2 games, his form has looked a lot more compact, a lot more consistent. And the release, he's being aggressive with it, taking the open shots, not passing up open looks. I love what I'm seeing from him so far.
Yeah, holding his follow through on the jumper. That's the difference. He used to just shoot it and put his hands straight down, and now he's holding that follow through, making sure he completes his shot. And we're seeing the difference in the percentage also.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like you said, the aggressiveness, the pushing in transition off rebounds, getting the passes on steals and being aggressive, going right to the cup. I love it. His passing he didn't get a lot of assists tonight.
Right.
He only had 1, but he had a lot of hockey assists, made the right reads, aggressive reads, and his court vision is just great, man. I'm so impressed with this young guy.
That one pass where Jaquez didn't take the layup, but bigs are not supposed to have that kind of vision usually. And you know what's interesting? He plays for the same program that Nikola Jovic played for. I wonder if that's just how they are with their bigs. I don't know, but he's just been his passing is on a whole different level.
It really is, man. He's a weapon. I can't wait to whether it's in Miami or another roster. I hope it's in Miami, but I just want to see that kid continue to grow. Let's go into the second guy, Jaime Jaquez. Had a little shoulder injury. I read in the chat. They said that's what kept him out. I wasn't listening to the stream while we were on Playback, but that hard foul, rubbing the shoulder, and he was holding it on the bench. I think it was just precautionary. Yeah. They held him out. I don't think it was like a trade issue because Jovic has been rumored too, and he's played a lot. But I think he was 1 for 6, played 16 minutes. Some stuff you like, some stuff you didn't like. But he's a rookie. He's not gonna have consistently 82 great games. So
right.
What'd you see from him?
This game we saw a little bit more of. Okay, he is a young guy, kind of getting ready. His shot selection at times. He's not a selfish player by any stretch of the imagination, but his shot selection could use a little work at times. But also, I can't blame him because he made some pretty difficult stuff last game, and he also hurt his shoulder. And so I don't know if those go in, we probably don't care as much. But I'm hoping for him to look to kind of improve on that.
Yeah, and he had we called him the Mexican Jimmy Butler, Jaime Butler, if you will, and Juan Wick, all these jokes and stuff. But he was really passing out of like layups. He had one like right under the basket, had a great look, and he passed out of it. Just you love that sometimes when the paint has collapsed, when it's one-on-one or wide open, you need him to be aggressive there. But yeah, like you said, the injury could affect that, and just wanting to see your teammates get into it. You don't know all that stuff, but that's stuff you can clean up. Defensively, I still worry about him laterally. I love that he battles. I love that he makes plays and is aware defensively. But you still want to see some improvement on the lateral quickness. What do you think about him? How he fared on that? And he had a tough assignment with Keegan Murray.
Yeah, well, we're on the same page in that sense. He's one of those guys who he has a defensive IQ. He's just not fast enough to do what his brand is telling him to do at times. So he's going to have to kind of get used to jumping ahead. But that's going to come with film study and watching guys and what their moves are and kind of jumping on those ahead of time. So I'm not really too concerned about it. I think the defensive IQ is what's important with any defender. Above athleticism and above length and all that stuff. So I think if he dedicates himself to it, he can be a really good defender. But I think right now his lack of foot speed with him not really being familiar with his matchups yet is why we're not seeing him reach his full potential on that end. Yeah,
the speed of the game definitely not completely ready for, but I mean, it's not going to be a perfect fit right away from like 99% of the guys. Like it's rare you see a guy be that comfortable on both ends right away. And he's got, like we said, he's gonna have lumps. I'm not worried about the kid. If you're taking overarching assumptions from summer league games, look, man, anybody who's watched summer league games can tell you about some really awful takes they've had. There's guys who put 50 points that didn't make it out of their rookie contract. They were out of the league already. Like, don't take too much into it. Keegan Murray is an exception. He was phenomenal, just in control. But don't put too much eggs in your basket on summer league play.
Man, remember how it was after Lonzo Ball's first game when he played terrible? Everybody was like, nah, he's a bust. Get him out of there. And then he hooped the next game. It was like, nah, he's the greatest player alive. That's the thing. Like, and it's difficult to evaluate players, even not just coming out of the draft, but also with summer league, because the game is so different from the NBA. We won't really know until we see them in a regular season NBA game with that adrenaline going and all that stuff. Right now, and also similar to the Jaquez point, it's just they don't have film on them, so they're kind of just out there hooping. And so it's going to look sloppy at times. And so I'm not really concerned with anybody up until we get a little into the season and they don't show anything.
Yeah, for real. And I mean, just to throw an example of how bad summer league takes can be, I saw Chris Dunn's rookie year, one of his summer league games, and I was like, yo, this is young D Wade out here. He was and controlling the pick and roll like that. Like, just it looked insane. And I was like, all right, that's when I learned. All right, let's slow our roll a little bit on these high comparisons.
Another thing too is, man, these guys they typically, and this obviously doesn't include the Heat, but a lot of these guys get drafted to bad organizations, and that could be a death sentence for teams. And sometimes it's fit also. Yeah, like when you look at James Wiseman, when he went to the Warriors, they don't even run a type of offense that would benefit him. They go too fast, too much movement. You can't post a guy up, and he almost lost his career because of that. And so it's like we can't judge these players so early. It's just gonna have to be, because with the Chris Dunn example, he went to. I remember somebody drafted him, and I think he went to Minnesota or he went to somewhere else. It was.
He played for Minnesota at first, I believe.
Yeah. No, I think he played Minnesota Summer League, and the point is, like, these guys go to bad teams and they can't really develop sometimes, and so we can't really judge the Summer League stuff really.
No, for sure, man. But like just to wrap up on this game, some other performances. Jamari Bouyea, we're big fans of his. Played really well, really solid. Like there's still things he needs to improve on, of course, as all these guys do. But he's one of the two-way guys now. Saw some things I liked about him. We're still asking him to be a little bit more aggressive with his shot. There were a couple possessions where he would put his man in jail, have the mid-range jumper, and then kick it out. And like he got his teammates a lot of good looks. He had 9 assists last game. He had like 4 assists this game. Got his first step was great. Made a lot of steals this game. Had like 3 straight pick sixes in the third quarter. He really got the offense humming. But just there's still spots where I need him to be a little more selfish.
Yeah, I think the thing he has to unlock, Jamari Bouyea, so usually with fast guards, they come into the league and you have to teach them to slow down and not just be 100 miles an hour every play throughout every play. With him, it's sometimes he doesn't leverage his speed as much as he probably should. His first step is insane. He'll get past the first person and not really know what to do when the help comes and when the help doesn't come. He's not making those reads fast enough. And so once he gets that done, like, okay, he can't stunt fast enough. He can't help fast enough. I'm going to put a floater up, or he's overhelp and I'm going to kick this out. He makes those decisions, but sometimes they're not as quick. And so as he gets the reps in and starts to really get used to that and being used to making those quick decisions, then we'll really see him start to, I don't want to say take off, but be a little more consistent.
Yeah, no, but I love that he's a playmaker on both ends. Like he gets steals, he gets deflections, he gets tip blocks, makes plays for his teammates. I just need him to, get his speed adjusted to the game, like you said. He's moving so fast sometimes that his hairline is falling behind. No, just joking, Baldier. But there's things to like about him. Lando had some ups and downs too. The other, he's on a standard contract. Jamal Cain, first appearance of the summer league, he played pretty decent. I felt, made defensive plays, had a tough assignment as well. Had a lot of minutes on Murray, which I felt was really good for him. Like to actually face some NBA talent. He was, Chat's talking about his motor. That's one thing he absolutely needs to have. What'd you think about Jamal?
I think, and we've made this comparison before, I think he's kind of like a Caleb Light. Like he can score. I think the broadcast said he averaged 21 a game in G League this past season. He can score, but that's not what you really should expect from him. But he can do it. He's just more of an energy guy. He has the defensive instincts. He has the athleticism, the length, all those things to make things work on that end. He still has to put it together as far as the IQ sometimes. He does make a lot of gambles. At times he probably shouldn't make. Sometimes he doesn't gamble when he probably should. He has to figure those things out. But I will say he is one of the guys who are more ahead, and who, if he's on the roster after this inevitable deal happens, I think he's somebody who can get some minutes this season. Yeah,
I'm comfortable playing him. He still has early on, like he gets jittery minutes where he's like a little jittery on both ends. But once he finds his rhythm in the game, he's good. He kind of reminds me of Josh defensively, how Josh looked as a rookie, which is ironic since they signed Josh. But, like you said, there's needs some fine tuning. The tools are there. It just needs to be sharpened and more ready to go. Let's, is there anybody else you want to discuss with? Let's talk about Alondas Williams. He came in a little bit. He made a couple plays. He didn't play last game. This game, I felt like he showed some flashes. Not enough playing time to really establish himself, but there were plays where he showed why Miami was interested in him.
Yeah, it's some guys. He's one of those guys that he's just gonna have to find his way onto the team because he's not gonna be a focus. He has the defense. He has the athleticism, which they don't really go after usually. So I'm excited about that stuff, but he's going to have to – I don't know how much of an opportunity he's going to get to really put it together this summer league with them focusing on Jaquez and them focusing on Jovic, and then you got Bouyea, and they brought Drew Smith back in. Alonda's going to have to try to find his way. It's going to be mostly on the defensive end, but I don't know how many minutes he's going to get to really do that.
Yeah. Chat said James Ennis is another comparison. Shout out to King James. Yeah, man. Let's wrap it up with Drew. I felt like another kind of uneven performance from Drew. Just his decision making, like defensively, he made some good plays, and that's Drew Smith. Like he makes some good plays on defense. Offensively, he kind of doesn't do enough offensively. They started him at the 1 again, and they didn't score a point until he got off the floor. And it was I just felt like every time he was in and running the offense, there was a little pointless to the offense. There wasn't enough flow to it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the same thing I said during the playback for anybody who wasn't tuned into that. Defensive only players are tough because you can hide a bad or subpar defender on defense and kind of make it fine with the personnel surrounding them. But if you have a liability on offense, that's who really gets taken advantage of and thrown out of the game pretty much. If the spacing's bad, makes rotations a lot easier if you don't have to worry about this guy. And I think at the point guard position, you have to force rotations. That the whole thing is making the defense make decisions and then taking advantage of the bad decisions they may make. And so as a point guard in particular, I don't know if just the defensive archetype works. And we've seen it with the Breonte Webbers, and it's just not – you can't be a point guard who doesn't really contribute on offense because you have to run the offense in a sense. If you're not running offense, you have to at least shoot like a Mario Chalmers did. And it's just – I don't think Drew Smith has that. It's a little tough because I like him defensively, but I don't know if he brings enough offensively to translate. Kyle, perfect example. Look at Tybalt.
Exactly. And it's tough too because he doesn't have the drive game. Right. Really, he got stripped a couple times, got a lot of deflections off of him. And he doesn't have the shooting. Like you can't just be a spot up shooter anymore in the league. That's gone away. They're more and more teams are comfortable just leaving spot up guys alone. Like you have to be a movement 3-point shooter. He doesn't have the athleticism to like take advantage of cuts. He does. I will say he does have some feel for the game. Yeah. But it's tough without like more scoring weapons. So, I'm low on him. I see some of the things that the Heat say, seeing him and the defensive talent. Like he's definitely a damn good defender already. For sure. But like you said, it's hard as an offensive as a guard to not have many offensive weapons.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I don't know if he has the time to improve either, especially with Jamari Bouyea played well again today. And so those are the two-way guys, that are 2 point guards. The Heat's only point guard on the roster right now is Kyle Lowry, even though we know the dang thing's going to happen. The Heat may still send out Kyle. I don't know if they can send out Kyle Lowry as part of the Dame deal, and I don't know what that's going to look like. But there's an opportunity there. And I think right now, if I had to choose me banging the table for him for a year aside, I think I would go with Bouyea.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Let's wrap this up and talk about just some of the transition stuff. Nothing really to report on the Dame front. I will say that I found it interesting that Woj has been the mouthpiece for the Blazers front office this whole time, and he did say at the end of his little monologue on ESPN, he did say that at the end of the day, the Portland might look around and see that Miami has the best trade package, which was interesting to me because it felt like he was trying to kind of soften the blow that that Portland's finally coming to the realization that, damn, nobody's really bidding out here for it. We heard something about Cronin going to Summer League and trying to create a bidding war, but it just doesn't seem like there's a big market for him, for a Dame, because of his leverage of picking Miami, saying he only wants to play for Miami.
Yeah, and the thing about it that makes it complicated is because I've seen the comparison with the Raptors and Kawhi Leonard, but the thing is Kawhi Leonard had an expiring contract, so you can just go for the championship one time and Kawhi's also and I love Dame. He's not what Kawhi was at the time, first of all. Like where you're gonna just add him. That was just a perfect. The Raptors had to do that. And then you lose him in the offseason, you lose him in the offseason, that's fine. But you really go for it that year. It's a little different because Dame has a lot of years and a lot of money committed. And he's already leaving a situation he doesn't want to be in. It's not like like and it's not like the Spurs where it's like a disagreement on both sides, and you know what, this has to end. Dame himself is unhappy by himself, and so there's nothing to take advantage of there. If he says, "Hey, I don't want to play over there," whether it's Boston or wherever, it's a terrible move to make because he just sits out, and then what?
Yeah.
And at least with the Raptors, they could have just did a sign and trade with Kawhi afterwards. I don't know if they did it or not, but they could have tried to salvage something. If Dame goes somewhere with that many years and that much money committed, decides, you know what, I'm not playing for you, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And so the Heat are going to end up having the best package because, first of all, their package isn't bad in the first place. It's just, and I'm not going to get too deep into this because I've been tired of these conversations in general, but it's not that the package is bad. It's that the Blazers just committed money to Anthony Simons. Bringing in Tyler Hero under contract just doesn't make sense roster construction wise.
Right.
And so they have to find other things. And the Heat are not sure about Caleb Martin, so you have to bring in a third team. And the Nets are interested in Tyler Hero, but if I'm gonna take Tyler Hero, I'm gonna get rid of Ben Simmons. I'm not gonna just do Miami this favor so they can get Dame and dominate the league. I want to get rid of this contract I have also, and then nobody takes Ben Simmons. It's a complicated thing. It's not that the Heat's package is weak. The Heat's package is not weak. It's just a matter of finding the right teams to do these things with. And Portland just doesn't really need Tyler Hero because they've already committed to all the players they're developing are guards, and so it just doesn't make sense for them.
Yeah.
So you have to find a team to reroute him too, and they're going to also want something aside from him because of this second apron stuff. It's just it's difficult to do. And so it's not the package. And so once the Blazers realize that, they're going to have to just go ahead and just accommodate Dame.
Yeah, I saw, I think it was Hot Take Harry said it on the timeline that if you look at what Houston got when they traded Harden to Brooklyn, it might be a very similar package at the end of the day because the Heat are going to trade 2 first-round picks of their own, maybe 3 if they get their own from OKC, and they might get another first from another team, and they're going to throw in pick swaps. Or young players, and that's what Brooklyn got. Houston got about the same thing. I don't even think they really got players for him. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't any really young rookies of note on rookie contracts that you're like, oh shit, this is a great deal for us. They got picks, and that's what they wanted. And ultimately, Dame is older than Harden was at that same point. I think Dame is better.
Yeah, Dame is 33 now. I think they might be the same age.
Yeah, I think right now they're the same age. But at that point when he was being traded, yeah. But that's the thing. It's not a 1-to-1 comparison. I think at the end of the day, Portland's gonna have a good deal on the table, and they're gonna take it. Just to make it easy, send Dame where he wants to go. Where this is a deal, we can just start over and rebuild, whatever it is. I will say, we heard about there are a lot of veteran minimum guys that are waiting to see this deal go through so they can decide where they want to go. We've heard Christian Wood be linked. Greg Sylvander said that Landry Shamet is somebody that if he get a big trade exception, they might take a look at him because they need some shooting. If they lose Duncan in this deal, what do you think about Landry Shamet?
I like the fit. 1 second, because my.
Well, I'll say Landry for me, he's been around the league. A lot of veteran teams and win now teams have wanted him and had him and pass and go because his defense isn't that good. But the Heat have enough defensive talent that they can kind of hide him. So if the shooting is consistent, they can take the risk. I've also seen that he's pretty streaky. If you're getting him for just taking him, you're giving up a second, I guess. Right. But I don't really care. It's not a big deal. I think there's minimum guys that I would rather prefer.
And because with this type of deal, when you really think about it, you're bringing Dame Lillard in. None of these draft picks are gonna really be that valuable to us. Yeah. And so just give away the second. And you just lost Max Strus. He's getting $64 million up in Cleveland. So if you can get Landry Shamet on the minimum, and man, I like Max Strus, but let's not pretend he was the most consistent shooter in the world himself. Right. You really just need somebody to hit shots at the right time. I think Landry Shamet could do that for him.
I mean, honestly, if we're trying to get shooting, I would rather keep Duncan. You saw how well he played in the playoffs. You saw how much defenses caved and reacted to him. You saw he was getting to the rim. He was making skip passes. He was solid enough on defense, made some plays. Shout out to the block on Jalen. I'd rather just keep Duncan than that. But I know there's tax concerns, second Abram issues. That's above my pay grade. Another name, I talked about him, but Christian Wood, he's been passed around the block. He's played in the league 7 years. He's been on 7 different teams. Every time somebody gets him, they're like, I love the idea. And they're like, I'm tired of him midway through, especially the coaching staff. He played in Dallas this past season, and J. Kidd just wanted to get rid of him because he's just not a great defensive player, not a willing defensive player. So I have concerns, but I mean, the only thing that I say that works for him is that he's talented, he's big,
he can score,
and it's a minimum. So it's like if you're at that point where you're scoring, I think he averaged like 16 and 7 last year, and you're a minimum player, like you have to do some reevaluations. Like Thomas Bryant just came in. He's seemingly aware that he needs to change some things. If Christian Wood's willing to do the same thing, I would take the opportunity. It's a minimum.
And that's the difficult thing with the Heat organization, right? Because they're known for bringing in, for lack of a better term, like these head cases of players. But sometimes you get a Jimmy Butler, sometimes you get a Hassan Whiteside. Sometimes you get James Johnson the first couple of years. Sometimes you get James Johnson the last couple of years. It's always a gamble with these guys. And I understand like there's this Heat culture. I don't want to say mythology because it is a real thing, but it doesn't always work. In Christian Wood's case, he don't necessarily need him. He'd be a bonus. And so I'd be willing to take that chance on a minimum.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it is a chance. I will say that for him to be that talented and just be ran out of every like there's an issue there.
Yeah.
And him not being a willing defender on the Heat would definitely 100% keep him off the floor. And so it's a big gamble, but if they're willing to do it, I'll trust them on it.
Yeah, they I trust their intel. They'll do their homework and stuff. So if they're, and it's a minimum, I like as a fan who loves transaction talk, like I have not been the biggest Christian Wood fan in these talks these last few years, but for the minimum, like when you might need some scoring option off the bench after this potential trade, I see the benefits to it. I'm saying fuck it. If that's what they need some scoring. Let's get some scoring because we saw in the finals that we needed some extra fucking scoring.
And I think just a different look as a backup big. So now you have offense coming off the floor instead of just setting picks and hopefully getting some offensive rebounds. Somebody you can run some stuff for here and there.
Shoot the three.
And just to spell Bam for a couple minutes and maybe even, I don't want to say play next to Bam, but it could possibly work because he does spread the floor just enough. And so I think there is upside to it if it does happen. So like I said, I'll trust the front office if it happens. I just don't. If they don't want him, I'm not going to complain. Put it that way.
Right, exactly. Like if he goes to another team, I'm like, oh well, okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for showing out with us. We know it's really late, especially in Miami. Fucking these goddamn West Coast games never get easy. Kenny, where can the people find you?
On all social media at this point. I don't want to promote Twitter anymore. I don't know how long any of us will be there, but Kenny Spence NBA. Just follow me on whatever. I don't post on Instagram, and be honest with you, but you can follow me there just in case I do one day. Who knows?
Yeah, we're all getting on Threads. Shout out to Christian Hernandez for being on Threads half of the playback. We'll be doing playbacks for more Summer League games and some post-game shows. You can find me Franky G _ that's Franky with a Y, G _ on Twitter. Franky Garcia 92 on Threads. Shout out to y'all. And hopefully Jovic gets a bounce, another good, strong game for Summer League, and Jaquez is okay. Love y'all. Y'all stay safe out there. Have a great night, everybody.